Well, on Saturday, we saw 500,000 people out on the streets. And if anybody says to you that we're not strong enough to stop the cuts, or that there's nothing we can do about things, just remind them what Saturday looked like. Mark Sawalker said something really important on that demonstration. He looked round the crowd and it said, it's brilliant that we're all marching together, but can you imagine what would happen if we all went out and strike together? And the real point we have to get across now is that the cuts that they're making to the National Health Service, to education, to benefits, to every part of what we've done really since the Second World War are enormous. They're trying to make the kind of cuts that will send us back a whole generation or more, and that means we've got no choice, but we have to fight, and we have to fight in 2 or 3 ways. One is we have to have unity. That means health workers, teachers, council workers, the unemployed, students have to come together. Secondly, when they make the cuts, we have to say no. It means if they shut wards down or nurseries, we have to talk about occupations, we have to talk about direct action to try and stop what they're doing. But more importantly than anything, there are millions of us in this country who keep the hospitals running, who keep the schools running, who clean the bins out, who do the hard work that keeps the country running. We make the wealth. These people we're marching on tonight are parasites. The people who would come out of the Deutsche Bank and wave money in the face of nurses who are demonstrating against closures are a disgrace. And we have to say that protests like tonight are important, but in the end, we are going to have to take the kind of action that really does bring things to a halt. And when you look at what happened in places like Egypt, where they stood up to dictators, in the end, what proved the difference is when workers used the power they had. Hospital workers, council workers, civil servants and the rest of it, and they came out on strike. So tonight, let's demonstrate for the NHS against the greedy bastards at Deutsche Bank, but also let's start talking about action.
For the bosses, David Cameron, get out, we know what you're all about. Cuts, job losses, money for the bosses. David Cameron, get out, we know what you're all about. Cuts, job losses, money for the bosses. David Cameron, get out, we know what you're all about. Cuts, job losses, money for the bosses. Tory health cuts!
How far is the destination where they're getting to? It's only
We say fight back! We say fight back! They say cut back! We say fight back! Cut back! Fight back! Cut back! Fight back! Cut back! Fight back! Many of you will have joined the 1,000-strong march on the 9th of March, which was about 2.5 weeks ago now, when we came in defence of the NHS and the job cuts at Barts and the London, 630 jobs to go, out of a total workforce of just over 7,000, which in anybody's language is nearly 10%. I'm a local GP, and along with my other local colleagues, we're very concerned about the effect this will have on the service delivery to our patients in one of the most deprived boroughs of the country, Tower Hamlets. In stark contrast to the luxuriant lifestyles and wealth we see around us now. As we walk past this bank, Deutsche Bank, in those windows up there were a number of Deutsche Bank staff waving and jeering at us and pointing their fingers, and one who has now become notorious, who was waving £10 notes. We were absolutely disgusted and horrified. We represent ordinary working people who are out to defend the much-loved institution of the NHS, which at the moment is free at the point of delivery. We want to keep it that way, and we're defending the NHS for people like the bankers who may well need it one day and their families. So as local health professionals, a group of us got together and wrote a letter which I tried to deliver into Deutsche Bank last Tuesday. It was quite difficult to find where I could deliver it, and eventually I got sent round to a little post room in an underground car park. Since then, however, Ron Singer, who's the chair of the president on the letter. He said to Dr. Singer that he was also outraged by the actions of his staff and that many of Deutsche Bank staff share the outrage. So 4 of us are going to go in and deliver this letter to Mr. Grassi. The letter expresses our outrage, asks for the bonus of the banker, Monsieur Camus, who now no longer works for Deutsche Bank. He left Deutsche Bank with a £50,000 bonus.
Shame!
150, okay. A large bonus.
Shame!
So we are going to, this letter demands an apology and demands his bonus to be donated to the cancer ward at Barts, which is threatened with closure.
Give the bonus to Barts!
So we're now going to go in and we're going to deliver this letter, but what we need to do is continue to fight for the NHS and for all public services. Public services are threatened, the government is cutting public services savagely and brutally. They say because they need to pay for they want ordinary working people to pay for the crisis. We didn't cause the crisis, we shouldn't be paying for the crisis. There are lots of other ways that can be paid for the crisis. Vodafone, £6 billion tax bill, which has just been put aside. Trident, we don't need Trident, 75 billion. The massive bailouts that these banks enjoyed 2 years ago. How many billions was that? And there's £123 billion of unpaid tax. So we need to keep fighting, keep marching, keep having industrial action, striking together to defend our public services, our jobs and the services of our communities.
Give the bonus to Barts! 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 Give your 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 bonus to
We won't be able to know what's going on now.
Give the bonus to Barts! Give the bonus to Barts! Give the bonus to Barts! Give the bonus to Barts!
Mr. Grassi requested
Okay, though. Unfortunately, originally earlier on this afternoon, I was quite happy to come into the foyer. For whatever reason, from about an hour ago, it changed to taking the letter out here. We tried to negotiate with them, but they didn't want to know, so I do apologise.
That's all right.
But the most important thing, I think, is that you've managed to deliver that letter.
No cup of tea for the doctors, no biscuits and reception.
So, thank you for when you've had it today, no major issues. You've been nicely compliant, and it makes you actually get your message across properly.
Give your bonus to Barts! Give your bonus to Barts! Give your bonus to Barts! Give your bonus to Barts!